Let me set the scene for you. Ukraine's President Volodomyr Zelenskyy comes to Ottawa on Friday. Heroes welcome. After the president's speech, the Speaker of the House points out someone in the crowd who he says is also a Ukrainian hero.
Ukrainian-Canadian world veteran from the Second World War who fought the Ukrainian independence against the Russians and continues to support the troops today, even at his age of 98. He's a Ukrainian hero, a Canadian hero, and we thank him for all his service.
He receives not just one, but two standing ovations. But turns out, the voluntary Ukrainian division of which he was a part, they weren't the good guys. They were a combat unit fighting for Nazi Germany. No one seemed to realize this in the moment, but they sure did this weekend.
A Ukrainian veteran who served in a Nazi military unit received a standing ovation from all sides of the House of Commons.
The Speaker of the House of Commons is apologizing tonight for hailing a man as a hero who, it turns out, fought for the Nazis.
It comes on the same day Canada's Jewish population is marking Yom Kippur, considered the holiest day of the year.
I wish to apologize to the House, and I'm deeply sorry that I have offended many with my gesture and remarks.
The Speaker, Anthony Rota, is apologizing because he's the one who invited Yaroslav Hunka without the government's knowledge. He's the one who recognized him publicly and prompted the standing ovations without the government's knowledge. So, how does that happen exactly?
State visits are organized by the government. Every aspect of President Zelenskyy's visit would have been highly managed by the PMO.
I think at a big moment, you would have hoped that everyone would be extra careful and extra thoughtful about someone who was going to be recognized in the Speaker's gallery, as this person was. That didn't happen really has to give one pause.
Nobody disputes that the Speaker dropped the ball here, inviting someone from his constituency to attend and be celebrated without doing his homework on the guy. But the question is this: when you have a world leader coming to visit, would only a negligent government leave that much to chance?
Is it the government's position that when we have a foreign head of state, that the government does zero security vetting for who will be in the same room as that head of state? Is that the message that we're sending to our allies, that when they come here, you don't know who's going to be in the gallery?
So normally, the House of Commons is open to the Canadian public. Anyone can go, assuming you can get through physical security. They'll check you for weapons, obviously. But it is a little different if there's a visiting dignitary. Now, generally, the guest list is pretty tightly managed. And yes, it would fall to security to vet those guests properly, which they said they did. So where things fell down, according to the government,
of course, security measures are taken for invitations to Parliament. However, this individual was invited by the Speaker. The government had no knowledge that this individual was invited or that he would be recognized in Parliament.
And this comes directly from the Prime Minister's office. The Speaker had his own allotment of guest seating at Friday's address, which were determined by the Speaker and his office alone.
The Speaker has quite a bit of jurisdiction over things on Parliament Hill, and it is quite independent in his domain as well. So it wouldn't have gone through the same process as if, say, an MP wanted to include someone from his or her riding.
But is that the way things should be? Is that how a reputable government handles a visiting foreign leader and the hundreds of people who are allowed to be in attendance?
There was a Nazi in the chamber. There's only one entity, one group that could have done anything about it, that could have flagged that.
Everyone is angry, everyone is upset, everyone wants someone held to account for what even Rota himself has acknowledged is a mistake.
So here's where we're at. Embarrassing domestically? Yep. There are already calls for the Speaker to pay a steep price.
Unfortunately, I believe a sacred trust has been broken. It's for that reason, for the good of the institution of the House of Commons, that I say, sadly, I don't believe you can continue in this role. Regrettably, I must respectfully ask that you step aside.
It's a big job, and it's an important job, just as, you know, from the perspective of a democratic institution being Speaker for a G7 country. And with that comes responsibility and trust. They assumed that this was someone that should be recognized, that they could be proud of, that they could feel good standing up and applauding.
And is this embarrassing internationally? Absolutely.
Shocking, to say the least, Bree. I couldn't believe that. Almost a minute, it seemed like, of applause.
You know, Zelenskyy's visit was supposed to be a real moment for Canada, an opportunity for Justin Trudeau to push other problems aside and welcome the man who would stand up to Russia to the House floor. But now, that moment seems so long ago.